Thank you so much, Jack, for your leadership, and to everyone at the BAA who has been very busily involved in helping coordinate and plan and go through every little detail. We all in the Boston area look on Patriots Day with a special sense of pride. Marathon Day brings the eyes of the world to Boston. It brings the world's top athletes, spectators, visitors from all over to appreciate what we know every day in the city of Boston, that this is a community whose determination and pride and connection to each other, bar none, is always changing the course of history. This year's 10-year anniversary, the marking of a decade since the horrific attacks, brings with it another set of emotions and reflections. I want to thank everyone who has been involved in ensuring that we could plan and mark this occasion with the solemnity and respect, in close coordination with the survivor community, the many, many families who have been impacted, with the spirit of looking to reflect on what we all experienced and what some families have forever been changed by, the loss that they continue to bear, and also what is ahead for us, what these 10 years have meant in the growth of our community and our commitment to each other in charting a course for our future that includes everyone. This annual event brings many, many people out with excitement, and you might just have your regular spot along the course that you go to every year. You might have the experience of bringing new family members into it. I remember bringing my kids to the race for the very first time, and to have them just bouncing up and down with the excitement of the crowd connecting with each and every runner as they caught sight of the finish line and had that final burst of energy. We each have special memories and traditions associated with this day, and it is only possible for so many people to feel so connected to the world's greatest race because of the painstakingly detailed preparation that goes into planning for its safety and coordination. As you can see, many, many agencies, many, many leaders here have spent a tremendous amount of time going over every logistical line item. I am so grateful and so blessed to be part of this team that is going to ensure we have a great weekend, great marathon day, and throughout the year, who always put the safety and health of our residents very, very first. I want to name some of the leaders who are joining us here today, our colleagues in public service and from across the Commonwealth and beyond. Boston Police Commissioner Michael Cox, Chief Shumaine Bedford of the Office of Emergency Management at the city, Chief Paul Burke of the Boston Fire Department, Chief Jim Hooley of EMS in Boston, Chief Kenneth Green of the MBTA Transit Police, Lieutenant Colonel Mark Sear from the Massachusetts State Police, Special Agent in Charge Joseph Bonavolanta from the FBI's Boston Field Office, Don Brantley, Acting Director of Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency, and Undersecretary Gina Kwan of the Massachusetts Executive Office of Public Safety and Security. Each of these individuals and their departments and teams they represent have played an essential role in making sure that Marathon Day will be fun and safe for everyone. I also want to take a moment to recognize that there are many others not represented up here who we know are just as critical to the safety of our marathon each and every year. Boston's Inspectional Services Department, our hospital and healthcare workers, as you heard, the tens of thousands of volunteers and community members who take part every single year. And as we reflect on a decade ago, we remember the role that each of these communities and each of these community members played in the aftermath, from checking and ensuring the safety of our buildings to treating those who were injured and being part of that journey of recovery for many, many months to come. So, whether on Monday you'll be wearing running shorts or a volunteer t-shirt, scrubs, or a uniform, I want to thank everyone who steps up each and every year to make the world's oldest and greatest marathon part of the fabric of our community. We are prepared and deeply excited to welcome the world to Boston on Monday. And now I'd like to turn this over to Undersecretary Kwan from the Massachusetts Executive Office of Public Safety and Security.
Thank you, Mayor Wu. Good morning. My name is Gina Kwan. I am the Undersecretary for Law Enforcement at the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security. I'm thrilled to be here on behalf of EOPS in anticipation of one of the Commonwealth's most beloved events, the 127th Annual Boston Marathon. On behalf of Governor Healy, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, Secretary Reedy, I want to thank our many federal, state, and local partners for their essential role in safety and security planning and race day coordination. Your contributions are vital to race day success. As we are all profoundly aware, events of this magnitude present unique challenges and security concerns. We are mindful of our significant responsibility today and every day, but it is perhaps most poignant on this 10th anniversary of the tragic events of 2013. In preparation for this year's events, our comprehensive safety plan is strengthened by past lessons, inspired by our proven ability to adapt to emerging issues, and builds upon extraordinary levels of collaboration. As public safety officials, we are fortunate to have many great and supportive partners, including the BAA and many non-governmental and private sector stakeholders who've worked together for many months to make this a great event. Massachusetts has a proud history of strong relationships among federal, state, and local law enforcement partners. Our unified approach and combination of resources support our collective ability to prepare, prevent, and respond as needed. We are grateful for the contributions from all local municipalities along the race route, including police, fire, EMS, public works, and public health, all of whom have been deeply involved for many months of public safety planning for Monday's race. Our federal partners are integral to our comprehensive safety and security plan. I want to acknowledge the FBI, who you will hear from shortly, and our partners at the Department of Homeland Security, FEMA, ATF, and the FAA. I also want to highlight the contributions of our partners in state government, including the dedicated team of professionals at MEMA, the State Police, National Guard, the Department of Fire Services, MassDOT, and the Department of Public Health. They are critical to planning and a successful race day operation. I ask everyone to remember that safety and security are a shared responsibility. Please remain aware of your surroundings, and if you see something, say something. Call 911 or approach an officer along the race route. As we all cheer on our runners, vigilant attention to your surroundings will support what we anticipate to be an exciting and joyous race day. And now I would like to introduce Acting MEMA Director Dawn Brantley, who will provide more information about security planning and what spectators should expect on race day. Thank you.
Thank you, Undersecretary Kwan. As we all know, the public safety planning for this world-class race starts months in advance of Marathon Monday. I would like to echo the words of thanks that you've already heard this morning. The Commonwealth is incredibly fortunate to have federal, state, and local partners who have years of experience with the marathon and years of experience working together as a team to ensure the safety of competitors, spectators, staff, and volunteers. Organizing the Boston Marathon public safety effort is a challenging task that demands extensive teamwork, expertise, and cohesion, and that is especially true this year as we mark the somber 10-year anniversary of the terrorist attack. Public safety has always been and continues to be of paramount importance when it comes to the Boston Marathon. The months of planning, preparing, and coordination with the BAA, the 8 cities and towns along the race, the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security, the Massachusetts National Guard, Department of Fire Services, State Police, Department of Public Health, the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, Salvation Army, Red Cross, and many others, all brings us to where we are today, fully prepared to carry out our mission to ensure a safe Boston Marathon. As in past years, the Commonwealth State Emergency Operations Center in Framingham will be the home to the Boston Marathon Unified Coordination Center. The UCC will stand up at 6 a.m. on Monday morning and serve as the central coordination hub for all the organizations working to maintain public safety and security. Our goal at the state EOC is to coordinate multi-jurisdictional decision-making, provide platforms for requesting resources, and leverage every tool and system we have available to provide our public safety partners a common operating picture and situational awareness from the start in Hopkinton to the finish line in Boston. There will be approximately 120 staff representing 46 local, state, and federal agencies and other non-governmental organizations at the UCC on Monday, and several other partners supporting virtually. In support of our municipal partners, MEMA will be deploying 2 mobile emergency operations centers to Hopkinton and Brookline to ensure effective communication and coordination during the event. Additionally, MEMA will have 12 staff members deployed to support field operations in various emergency operations centers, including the BAA Race Operations Center, Boston EOC, and each respective community EOC. This on-site assistance enables MEMA to provide direct emergency management and response support, along with a direct communication link back to the UCC. MEMA leadership and staff play key roles in the Unified Coordination Center, including serving as director and deputy director of the UCC, several command staff positions, and other critical roles. Our team's years of crisis management and leadership experience ensure a coordinated approach to managing any challenge that may come our way. As always, we want to ask for the public's help in making this a safe and enjoyable event. First and foremost, remain aware of your surroundings. As you heard from Undersecretary Kwan, and will likely hear from our law enforcement partners, if you see something that's suspicious, make sure to report it to a uniformed law enforcement official or call 911. Check your cell phone settings and make sure that your phone can receive emergency and public safety alerts to ensure that you receive any urgent public safety messages. This is a good idea every day and not just on Marathon Monday. As in past marathons, there will be areas along the course with enhanced security procedures, including checkpoints and bag checks. We ask for the public's understanding and cooperation with those procedures. And finally, please leave your drones at home. FAA flight restrictions are in place during the Boston Marathon, so take your photos and videos from ground level. Thank you again to the BAA and all of our public safety partners for their work to make sure the 127th running of the Boston Marathon is as safe as possible. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Special Agent in Charge, Joseph Bonavolante from the FBI Boston Division, to provide an overview of the FBI's preparations for this year's race and a current threat assessment.
Thank you, Dawn. Good morning. As we get ready to mark the 10th anniversary of the Boston Marathon bombings, when terrorists struck at the core of our capital city, our hearts continue to ache for those we lost that day, along with the hundreds who were wounded. And as we reflect on the harrowing events surrounding the 117th running of this great race, we will never forget the heroism, strength, and unity we all witnessed in the days and weeks that followed. I can assure you that all of the law enforcement agencies standing before you today have become better, stronger, and much more tightly connected because of it. Our number one goal is to ensure a fun and safe day for you and your families, and we are laser focused on identifying and thwarting potential threats to this year's race. At this point in time, the FBI is not aware of any specific or credible threats targeting this year's race. And while we're confident in this assessment, at this particular time, we're asking you to remain vigilant because we all know how quickly the threat landscape can change. The greatest threat that we face are lone actors who radicalize online and look to attack what they deem to be soft targets with easily accessible weapons and little to no warning. We are also concerned about homegrown violent extremists who are inspired by foreign terrorist organizations like ISIS and Al-Qaeda. For example, just last week, as a result of one of our investigations, a Waterville, Maine man pled guilty in United States District Court in Bangor to conspiracy to provide material to support terrorists. Additionally, domestic violent extremists whose personal grievances range from racial or ethnic bias to anti-government sentiment are also a great concern. We're also seeing an overlap between domestic terrorism and hate crimes, where people are committing hate crimes to promote extremist beliefs. The bottom line is that the threats we're facing from domestic, international, and state-sponsored actors are elevated. Like past years, FBI special agents and task force officers assigned to the FBI Boston Division's Joint Terrorism Task Force will be integrated throughout all aspects of the marathon route. Our highly trained specialty teams, including our special agent bomb technicians, evidence response, hazardous material response, and SWAT teams, just to name a few, will be standing by to respond to any possible occurrence that may require action on our part. They'll be embedded within command posts and supporting our Joint Intelligence Center, which will be stood up at our headquarters in Chelsea to share intelligence, run database checks, and monitor and investigate any real-time threat information we may receive. These are just some of the steps the FBI and our law enforcement partners are taking, and we ask for your patience to make sure we get it right. There's no doubt a security effort of this size and magnitude will cause some inconveniences. Additionally, if you see someone or something suspicious, say something. It could be your neighbor, coworker, classmate, somebody you see in person or virtually on social media. Tips from the community are essential because if we look at acts of mass violence, there's almost always somebody after the fact who says they saw the person change, whether it be a parent, a classmate, or a friend. When people speak up, history has shown that we can prevent these tragedies from occurring. In closing, I would like to thank everyone here today for their hard work and partnership over the last few months. It really is one team, and we are very much looking forward to the 127th running of this historic race. Thank you. And now I would like to introduce my colleague, Lieutenant Colonel Mark Sear from the Massachusetts State Police.
Thank you, Joe. Good morning. Thank you to our law enforcement partners who are here today and to the Boston Athletic Association for bringing us together. On behalf of Colonel Jack Mon, I also would like to thank the Healy Driscoll administration, Public Safety Secretary Terrence Reedy, Undersecretary Gina Kwan, and Undersecretary Jean Benacasa Thorpe. We truly appreciate your support of the Massachusetts State Police and our partner agencies in this mission to keep participants and spectators of this great event safe. First and foremost this year, our thoughts, as they have been every year since 2013, are with the victims of the terrorist attack on this event and the violent aftermath several days later. Our work is inspired by those tragically lost, by the resilience of the many survivors who endured traumatic and life-altering injuries. As we do in all large-scale security missions, we and our partners will execute a robust and multi-layered plan for this year's marathon. Our security operation is dynamic and scalable. It can be quickly adapted as necessary, up to and even during race day. As in previous years, our plan involves uniformed troopers, local police officers, National Guardsmen, and tactical units such as explosive and hazardous material detection teams. The State Police Air Wing and our drone unit will provide overwatch for the marathon route. The plan also includes a significant contingent of undercover officers in a joint intelligence operation. The State Police Commonwealth Fusion Center, the Boston Regional Intelligence Center, and the FBI work seamlessly and have been collecting and analyzing and following up on information for months. The State Police Homeland Security Operations Center at General Headquarters will be activated and fully staffed on race day with state police and our local and federal partners. We are prepared, if necessary, to end any disruption or interruption of the race course for any reason. We have no intelligence at this time that any such interruption is planned. That being said, we are alert to the potential for it and will be prepared to negate it if it does occur. Race spectators should expect enhanced security protocols at certain areas, including checkpoints and bag checks conducted by BAA security. Also, FAA flight restrictions will be in place on race day, and public use of drones over the route is prohibited. We wish the runners and spectators a great race day and remind the public, as always, if you see something suspicious, say something. Call 911 immediately. We will be vigilant, and we ask the public to be vigilant as well. Thank you. It's my pleasure to introduce Boston Police Commissioner Michael Cox.
Thank you very much. As you know, you can see that we have a multi-layered approach and a well-coordinated plan by both the city, state, and federal partners, as well as other folks from cities and towns along the 26.2-mile marathon route from Hopkinton to Boston. We also have, it's going to be a very busy week in general. We have a Red Sox playing a home game in the city on Monday, starting at 11:10 a.m., and there's a great deal of other activities happening, including later on in the evening, the Bruins playing a home playoff game. This brings in additional tens of thousands of people into the area, and on Marathon Day itself, particularly when the Red Sox game lets out, extra tens of thousands will come to the finish line as well. So with persons coming into work that day, plan on arriving early, and we encourage everyone coming into Kenmore Square and Back Bay areas to use public transportation. Chief Green will talk a little bit more about the MBTA when I'm done. To assist with securing the marathon route, all traffic leading into the marathon route east and west of Mass Ave will be closed around 8 a.m., and road closures will remain in effect until around 5:30. Road closures in general will start around 5 a.m. There's too many of them right now for me to run through, but we'll post all the major closing and information on the bpdnews.com. But the bottom line is what we're trying to say is please try not to drive into the marathon area with a vehicle. Take public transportation and give yourself plenty of time to get where you need to for any of the events going on that day. This is going to be a great day in general, and we need to realize that, you know, with all the thousands of people coming into the city, this is a very busy and exciting time, but we still need the public support to make sure that we're all safe. Again, this is a family-friendly event, and we ask all those cheering folks on to keep that in mind. With a large college population in certain parts of the city, we love your enthusiasm, but we remind you all that these expectations around being respectful and mindful is very important for all the spectators during the event. There'll be no public drinking and no one permitted to gain access to the marathon route during the race for any reason. There'll be enhanced security points, as has been brought out by multiple people in this conversation here today, and we ask you to limit the amount of items that you bring with you, as the more things that you have at these enhanced security checkpoints, the longer the lines will be, and the more difficult it will be to get people in and out. We remind folks don't leave any bags unattended, and also we want to also remind the other parts of Boston that we will have a full contingency of officers working the other areas of the city, even though it's a very busy weekend. So feel assured that we will be everywhere. We will set up security points along the marathon route from Audubon Circle to the finish line family area meeting along Arlington Street. We're also asking persons entering those areas to open their bags at the security checkpoint, and no one will be allowed to enter unless we are able to look into those bags. At certain times, we might have to close certain areas along the marathon route due to overcrowding. We'll limit access to those areas for safety reasons. This most likely might happen as you get closer to the Boylston Street area, because that tends to be where the most people congregate. We ask that you seek alternate routes when we close those off. Our officers that day will be in uniform, plain clothes. We'll have multiple assets similar to what both the feds and the state police had mentioned earlier. But keep in mind that this is a family-friendly day, and we expect nothing more than that. We will be visible and vigilant throughout, and we ask the public, as already said multiple times today, if you see something, say something. There'll be multiple officers along the route, so if you can tell them if you see something that you think is strange and unusual, or if you can't get to an officer, certainly dial 911. And I'm going to bring up Chief Kenneth Green from the Transit MBTA. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good afternoon. I think I want to start by reiterating what my colleagues have already stated. Currently, there is no intelligence, credible or otherwise, that would suggest that the MBTA or the Boston Marathon are targets. We're all well prepared, and I'm very confident in our training. But more importantly, in our collective experience with handling large-scale events such as the upcoming Boston Marathon. Many of the strategies that the transit police will use will be obvious to our riding public. You'll see an increase in uniformed police coverage. You'll see an increase in our deployment of our explosive detection unit teams with their bomb dogs. And you'll see other special operation assets that will be available on Marathon Monday. But there'll be many behind-the-scene measures taken as well that will not be obvious to the riding public. As I just said, we're prepared. I know it's already been stated, but I can say it again. We can't say it enough. If you see something, please say something. Nothing's too small. If there's something that you feel that law enforcement should know, contact us immediately, whether it's 911 or you can call Transit Police at 617-222-1212, or you can speak to any public safety official you see at the marathon. Regarding service on Marathon Monday, Copley Station will be closed and will remain closed for the day. South Street Station on the B line, Kent Street and St. Mary's Street stops on the C line will be closed between the hours of 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. With all that being said, well, let me just say this. If you need more information, please access our website at mbta.com. With that being said, we encourage everyone coming out to the marathon, utilize the MBTA transportation system to come out and to enjoy the day. With that, our next speaker will be Boston's Office of Emergency Management Chief, Shemaine Bedford.
Thank you, Chief Green. Good morning, everyone. I want to underscore the common message and the common theme here that our primary mission is safety and security, and we should ensure that we continue to amplify that message across all platforms, as you've heard from my colleagues on the stage here today, that if you see something, say something. We want to ensure that it's a safe day for all those that are running and coming here to enjoy the festivities. I want to recognize all of our fed, state, local, and private partners, to include the BAA in joining us in this multi-month planning process to get to this point. From the City of Boston standpoint, our Emergency Operations Center will be activated. We will also have assets, as my colleague Director Brantley mentioned, we will have assets that are positioned at the Unified Command Center with MEMA, as well as the BAA Ops Center, and we will be in close communication with the LECC, with the Boston Police Department. We want to stress situational awareness and coordination across city departments, as well as with all of our partners that are involved in the planning process and the response to the marathon in planning and executing on that day. I want to ensure and stress that we have an integrated plan that not only prepares us well to respond to any concerns that may come up, but to be proactive in our posture and ensuring that the day is as safe and enjoyable according to how it has been planned. I want to lastly just mention and wish all the runners success on this day, and also thank the community for their partnership in joining with us as we look to make this the safest day for our runners and for our community. Thank you.
Obviously, this is the first full-scale marathon since the pandemic. What's the biggest challenge that law enforcement faces with spectators and runners in this year's marathon?
So if I heard your question correctly, it was what is the biggest challenge that law enforcement faces this year post-pandemic? Is that right? You know, as far as challenges go, I know in the interaction and the coordination that we've had throughout the FBI as well as our partners, there really has not been any significant challenges opposed to what it's been like for the last couple of years, simply just because these large-scale special events, especially special events germane to the marathon, is something that we've been working on for many years together, and so we have a really good system in place, and it was just a matter of adhering to those methodologies once again, you know, post-pandemic. But remember, it's not going to change any of our methodologies or the way that we're coordinating, so I can't really say that it's been a challenge because we're so well versed, especially up here in this region, with so many of these special events and all of the other things that we work together on, that it's been pretty seamless.
Some of the things that you're looking for, like what do bad people typically do if they're up to no good? What should people be looking for specifically? I know it's a variety of things, but some examples.
It's a very, you know, general question, and that's why you've heard everybody up here say, if you see something, say something. We don't mean that to be a cliche. It really does work. There are so many different things that could just look suspicious to somebody that may not appear suspicious to somebody else. So I wouldn't want to categorize human actions or activities, because I don't want to take people's eye off the ball in terms of just if they are witnessing something that they think feels out of place or looks out of place, it's better to err on the side of caution and call us so we can react to it and address it appropriately.
About lessons learned since what happened 10 years ago. The safety plan was strengthened by that. Can you tell us what some of those lessons were specifically?
Sure. So in the past several years, and I've only seen this become stronger and stronger, it really comes down to just the overall coordination. But what do I mean by coordination? It's that every one of the law enforcement agencies that you see up here this morning were embedded with each other throughout various aspects of the parade route. We're also our specialty teams, such as our special agent bomb technicians, but the bomb technicians from Boston Police Department and the Massachusetts State Police, the SWAT teams, the hazardous material teams, they train together frequently and often throughout the year so that for events like this, if something were to happen, the response would be that much more coordinated and seamless. And then you also have the various command posts where each one of the agencies have individuals embedded at each other's command posts. So from an intelligence sharing perspective, it's real time, and it really is that much more seamless. So if something comes in, we can jump on it and act on it. So it's all those things combined that I've noticed have become much stronger over the years.
10 years ago.
I'm sorry, we have...
You mentioned that it should take the team to be prepared to handle this, and it's non-time struggles.
Absolutely, the MBTA is in a good position to handle these large volume of people. We've been doing this forever. You know, we handle all kinds of special operations throughout the year without any incidences. Now, I'm assuming you're speaking about the slow zones. There may be some slow zones, but the T is working feverishly to rectify that problem. But it's not going to stop us from getting people from point A to B.
back 10 years ago? How different the security plan that you're describing is from back then?
Sure. Well, and this can be said for really any special event over the last several years, and it could even go back many years before 2013, is we're always trying to evolve and utilize new emerging methodologies, trends, different kinds of technologies and things along those lines. But really, what I've noticed that has changed the most over the years, and it really has intensified, as to what I said before, which is that true coordination. And that's not just a phrase that we're using, it's that we are embedded with each other across various aspects, not only of on Marathon Day, but months ahead of time. We are having meetings scrubbing potential threats or different kinds of intelligence that are coming in for validity and things along those lines. So it's come much more together as far as the methodologies that we're using and the way that we're coordinated. I'm sorry.
I just want to build on that for a hot second, particularly in Boston. There were a lot of things that we learned, as a result, the enhanced safety checks that we do with the bags. That wasn't the thing that happened back then. The number of officers that we have out here for the event, the coordination, as the FBI person just said here, like, we work together so much more seamlessly now than back then that it is incredible as far as the amount of preparation that we do, particularly, I'm speaking from a local perspective, that's different now. And just like our ability to respond quickly and prepare, the things we're prepared for now are so much different than it was back then. So, thank you.
This question, since you're up there, security's tight every year. Does the fact that this is the 10th anniversary bring heightened concern?
This is a security. This is the big event for the city of Boston and the BAA every year, and so every year we try to tweak it and work with our partners in the state and federal to make sure that we're prepared for it. And every year we look out into the world and make sure that we're meeting the challenges of that moment. So it's always heightened because it's a big event, but we this is how we prepare.
How has the strategy evolved over the last year when it comes to monitoring domestic terrorist threats and concerns like white supremacists? How are you going to ensure that trans and non-binary runners and spectators feel safe and feel welcome to be a part of the marathon?
Thank you for that question. And if you heard before when I was talking about the nature of the threats that we're facing today, it runs across the gamut of international terrorism, domestic violent extremism, as well as other threats as well. And the way that we look at it is that any type of threat of force or use of force that is directed toward any of the runners at the marathon is going to receive the full attention of us and our partners through the Joint Terrorism Task Force. And as we stand here right now, we are not in receipt of any credible information germane to any particular group or individuals. But that having been said, the current climate that we're in right now is that can change, as you know, at a moment's notice, and that's why we have to have this coordinated effort.
Reports that a member of the Massachusetts Air National Guard leaked these secret documents about the war in Ukraine.
Excuse me, that's all the time we have today.
Can you comment about